Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm here with another video. This one's going to be pretty long, so you make some free time. It is about photography, so if you're not interested, you don't have to watch the entire thing. It's got a lot of technical wordage in it, and it's pretty boring if you're not into this kind of stuff. So just go ahead and watch one of my tank videos or something. But yeah, what I'm going to be doing today is a lot of people ask me how I take photos of my tank. I have a great Instagram channel. It's I Like Cichlids. Pretty easy to type in. You can see my photos on there. They're pretty high quality, not the best. They're getting there. But a lot of people just ask, you know, how do you get your photos? What do you use? What's your equipment? What are your settings and all that fun stuff? So I'm making this video just to show you guys what I use, how I do it. Yeah, so we'll go over shutter speed. We'll go over ISO. We'll go over aperture, and we'll go over just external flashes. There are two methods I use. I use an external flash placed right on top of the tank like so, and I use a prime lens with a very low f-stop or aperture. So I'll explain those two later. So one thing I would recommend is go ahead and research just the terminology on cameras if you're interested. There's a lot of stuff that you guys might not understand. I'll try to simplify it as much as possible. And I'm really not trying to be insulting. I mean, this stuff is confusing as hell if you're not used to photography. I would definitely go ahead and check out the African Cichlid Hub's How to Shoot Fish or How to Take Photos of Fish, because he lays it out pretty simply. He only goes over the built-in flash with his kit lens, but it explains everything pretty well from a basic standpoint. Then you can go ahead and just watch this one, and you should be pretty well versed on cameras and how to photograph fish. So yeah, enjoy the next few segments of this video, and hopefully you get to taking some good photos of your fish. Thanks, guys. Alright guys, welcome back to the video. So this is going to be sort of intense if you're not used to photography. I will try to explain it as simple or as simply as possible. But here we go. So, the first option for photographing fish. This is assuming you have a DSLR, you've done a little bit of research on DSLRs, or you'd like to get a DSLR. Hopefully this convinces you to do it because they are incredible, and I don't know where I was without one. Taking iPhone photos is not rewarding. But yeah, so here we go. So what I have set up right now, there are two ways to take photos of fish. Two ways that I use. And that is with a prime lens, and that is with the flash. The prime lens allows you to take photos without a flash, and I'll explain those methods. And the flash allows you to take photos with the zoom lens, and I'll explain why and how that is. So, first, with the zoom lens. So, basically, what you have with this camera, you have essentially three settings that you should mess with. And you're going to be in manual mode with the flash, because the flash is it's a Yongnuo YN563. And let's just try to light that up. I hope you guys can see that. It is in manual mode, it is in wireless mode, and it's at 1/128th of a second for the flash duration. And it's not zoomed in at all. So, it's a manual flash, so you have to essentially sync up your camera manually to it. So you got to sync up the flash duration and the shutter speed of the camera, and that'll allow you to get a good image. So the other things you want to play with, so the higher your ISO, the more sensitive your camera sensor is, or your photo sensor is, and the more noisy your camera is going to be. That's speckles in the photo. It's not really distortion, it's like grainy. It's grain in the photo. But the higher the ISO and the more sensitive it is, the better low light performance you're going to get. But with the flash, it kind of offsets that. You're allowing a lot of light in, so you can have that pretty low. So what we can do, hit the info button, go down to the ISO, and set that to around 1600. With this camera, it's great at high ISOs, so you can pretty much crank it up to 1600. You're not going to see any deterioration in picture quality. That's great about these new cameras compared to like a D40 or a D60, which you can only go up to about an ISO of 800. If you want to research that more, feel free to do it. There are a ton of videos online about it. I'm trying to keep the screen live for you guys. It's really annoying. So we have the aperture, which can be changed as well. So use whatever button is on your DSLR or future DSLR to change the aperture. And what that will do, it's going to limit the amount of light coming in. And the higher the aperture, the smaller the hole. And the smaller the hole, the sharper your image is going to be. So that's what's great about using an external flash. It allows you to use a very small and high aperture number. And it allows you to zoom in, because the further zoomed in you get, the higher your aperture gets, and the smaller your aperture gets, because physics, essentially. So yeah, what you're going to want to do is sync up your flash to your shutter speed on your camera. Take a few photos with a few different apertures. Keep your ISO constant and find an aperture that gives you the look you want. And with this, it'll be placed on top of the tank, facing into the water. So you're going to want to use whatever glass hood you have, make some sort of contraption to have this flash pointing down into the water. And all you got to do is shoot, check it, adjust the settings, shoot, check it, adjust the settings, and so on and so forth. You're going to have the best results if the fish are a little ways from the glass so you don't get shadowing and aren't up towards the light and aren't on the sand bed. Because the sand bed's going to be overexposed, up near the light is going to be overexposed, but the middle of the tank is going to look the best. So I will show you guys that when I go ahead and show you how I shoot. So that should be the basics of it. If you want to learn more about cameras, there's this guy named Fro Knows Photo or something. He's all over YouTube. He explains the basics of this D3300. This is a Nikon D3300. So yeah, go and look that up. And the lens I'm using, and the lens you're using doesn't matter. The only thing that I like about this lens is it zooms in 300 millimeters. It's a 55 to 300. So it allows me to zoom, not get close to tank. I don't disrupt the fish's somewhat natural behavior of being with a bunch of guys in the same tank. It's not natural at all, but yeah. And basically, we have a wireless transceiver. I keep wanting to say transistor. Too much electronics. But yeah, wireless transceiver on top that communicates with the flash to let it know, it lets it know when the camera is going off. You're going to need this if you want to place the flash on top of the tank and wirelessly activate it. Without it, you're just going to have to put it on top of the camera, and that is counterintuitive because we want the flash not reflecting off the glass. We do not want that. So yes, there we go. So that is the flash and zoom method. So the second method involves this prime lens, and I'll go ahead and demonstrate that for you. I just got to change out these lenses. So 1 second. So we're going to go ahead and learn about the prime lens shooting without a flash. So I left everything on here just to show you how to dismantle the camera and how easy it is. So the Yongnuo Transceiver pops right off. Just put that right there. And that basically disconnects it from the wireless flash. I want to go ahead and turn the camera off, and we're changing the lens. And we can just go ahead and remove that. I can put it down because I have a UV cover on there. It won't get scratched. So to put new lenses on, there is a white dot. Connect with the white dot and turn this way towards the shutter button. And there you go. So we are ready to shoot with this thing. So what we have on here right now is a AFS Nikon 35mm 1 to 1.8 f-stop lens. This is a prime lens. You cannot zoom with it. That's one downfall of it. But it being a prime lens, it allows you to have an extremely low f-stop number, which means the aperture is going to be very big. It's going to let in a lot of light. So the good thing about that is it's going to let in a ton of light, so you can keep your shutter way up, and your ISO can be a little bit lower, your image sensor, its sensitivity. So I don't know if I explained ISO before, because it's been about 3 hours since I last did this video. But yeah, ISO, if we go right here, ISO is currently at 3200, so we can change that. We can go to 1600. ISO is the image sensor sensitivity. Basically what happens is as you go higher in ISO, it doubles the sensitivity of the sensor. So that allows you to have less light coming in, but still maintain a good image. What happens though is with the high ISO, you start losing sharpness, you start getting noise or graininess, as you're probably familiar with it. So what you want to do is you want to find a nice compromise between the ISO and the f-stop. So we're going to try to go 1600. That's where you want to be, and this camera has very good performance at a high ISO. So 1600, you're probably not going to notice any noise, especially with macro shots like fish, because they have so much detail on them. You're not really going to notice much. You might see some in the black background. I'm not exactly sure. Second thing we're going to want to do, we're going to want to switch it to aperture priority. ISO will stay the same. So what this does is it auto-regulates the shutter speed based on the f-stop that you get. So watch, we're in a pretty low light situation right now. There's really not much in here. So as we decrease the aperture, as we make the hole bigger, and you can see this, it's animated on your screen, it increases the shutter speed. So that is how aperture works. So it seems like it's too good to be true, right? Well, it sort of is in a sense. So what actually happens when you shoot with a very low aperture with a big aperture? It doesn't really make sense. You think it's counterintuitive, the number system, it getting smaller as it gets bigger. That's just how it works. So you have a fish, right? Yeah, I have a fish prop. I'm prepared. So what actually happens is when you take the image straight on, the fish is swimming in front of the glass like this, and he's not, angled. You're going to get the entire fish in focus, depending on your distance. That's great. You just have to focus directly on this point. If your camera, if you have low light and you end up focusing over here or back here, it's not going to be in focus because the single focus point is right here. Any variation from that, any depth perception issues with the autofocusing from the camera, it's just going to get you a blurry image. So you may find that you're going to get some blurry images. So try your best to stay in the highest light areas of your aquarium. If you're shooting with this, maybe add a little bit more light if you're not doing very well, or increase the ISO. That won't help autofocus, but it should help with light detection. But what's going to happen when you get a proper focus and the fish is angled, and you may have seen this a lot with different photos. If you follow me on Instagram, a lot of my photos are like this because I just got the flash set up. So when you use an f1.8, a very large aperture, a small aperture number, if you focus on the eye of this fish, and the camera is hypothetically where it's what you're seeing right now. So you're focusing on this eye right now. Say you shoot this fish, not physically shoot it, but camera. You're going to focus on this point, on the eye. So the entire head is going to be in focus, but you're going to slowly blur out the body. Anything in front of the fish is slowly going to be blurred out. So you're only going to have the focal point, and the sharp point is going to be the head of the fish. That gives a really cool depth perception thing to the photo, which I think looks pretty artistic sometimes. So if you want to put that spin on your photography, all the power to you. That's why it's an art form, apparently. Yeah, so if you end up focusing on the actual body of the fish when he's angled like this will be in focus, this will be blurry, that will be blurry. Again, it depends on how far away you are. But the rule of thumb with fish, try to focus on the eye when you're using a very low f-stop number. When your aperture is large, you always want to focus on the eye, on the face of the fish. That's the most important part. So that's basically the gist of how aperture works. And also, say the camera is the background and the fish is swimming by. You take a shot, focus on the fish's eye. This is going to be totally blurred out. You won't even be able to tell that it's a camera because the f-stop is so low. So if you want to blow out a background, blow out, I mean blur out. It's just called blowing out in photography. I don't know why. Yeah, that's the way to do it. You want to have a very, very low f number. and that should blur everything out for you and just keep the focus on a single point. But yeah, that's basically it. That's how aperture works. All right, so we're back, and make sure everything's on. So we're gonna do the wireless flash shooting first, and make sure your lens cover's off, your camera's on, battery's charged. Make sure you fed your fish about 2 hours ago, or they fasted all day or something, because you don't want them dropping anchors when you're taking detailed photos of them, because it's not cool. I mean, some of you may think that, and that's kind of messed up, but yeah. So what we're gonna do is, I hope you guys can see this. So I'm gonna go on focus. See how that flash activated once I took a photo? So I have the settings. Actually, I gotta set them in aperture priority. So go into manual, set your settings to 1/125th or whatever setting you have on your manual flash. And we just go ahead and set the aperture real high. I have it at f14, and we'll see how that looks. Always put the strap around your neck. I don't know if you guys can see me, I really hope so. But yeah, so I don't know if you guys can see this right now. I'm not looking through the viewfinder, but you see how that comes down in a triangle pattern? So what happens with this flash is the light refracts, comes down here, and comes down here. So you're going to have a triangle of light. So you're only going to have a usable portion of about 12 by 12 inches. So this blue neon right here, where he just was, he'd be photographed well. The boreali would be photographed well. The otter point is in a perfect position right now to be photographed. So you want the fish a little bit away from the glass, right dead center. I just have between these two rocks is my focal point that I'm going for right now. So if you have them any higher, if I were to take a picture of this boreali right now, I would completely overexpose the image. I would burn them out, and there's nothing I could do about that. If I took a picture of this Chitande type north, he would also be burned out because the light reflects right off of the substrate too, because it's white. So yeah, so we'll try to take a picture of this otter point right now. So yeah. So we can zoom, we can get back as far as I possibly can get. I can lay against that wall if I really want to, and you wait until they're in the perfect position, and you just go ahead. So let's see who wants a picture. Nobody wants a picture. This flametail always wants a photo, so it looks pretty good. There we go. So, yeah, flametail looks a little bit overexposed. So what we're going to do is you can either increase the shutter speed or increase the f-stop. So I'm going to f20 right now to see if we can get the image a little bit darker, not get as much light in there. So let's see who wants a photo. Blue neon's looking like he's asking for it. So there we go. That looks pretty good. Nice and sharp. Not the position I wanted him in, you know. It's going to take a long time to get the perfect image, because when you get them, when they're diagonal, you're going to want their tail flapping this way so you can see their entire body. They don't cooperate, they just do what they want. So all you got to do is just keep doing this. So here's the flametail, he's going to cross. He's going to be overexposed up there. I don't know if you guys can see the fish that I'm talking about, but I'm just trying to wait until they get in between those rocks. There's just a hole in there that I like them to get into that they don't like to go into for some reason. It's stressful, but oh, it just crossed. Awesome. Yeah, these fish love, you know, bunching together and ruining shots. How about ruby red? Fire eye. Fine. Yeah, looks really good. Allows you to get nice crisp shots. Bi-color. Ruby red, looks great. And the good thing about having an underexposed shot is you can always turn up the exposure compensation. If you overexpose it, it's a little bit harder to turn down the exposure because it's burned. You still capture colors when it's underexposed, just colors just aren't that bright. But when you burn the photo, you essentially turn all the pigment white, so you can't come back from white. You just can't. So I mean, you could like paint on MS Paint or something and fix it, but that's not. I'm just rambling. So, come on. Look at you. Perfect. So, I'm going to use that photo on Instagram. Holy shit. But, yeah, so I will attach those images that I just took. I took like 3 or 4 of them, and I got 3 or 4 good images. So, yeah, this is an awesome way to take photos. You always end up getting good photos if you know what you're doing. Once you get used to it, pretty much every photo is a keeper as long as you get them in the proper position. But yeah, as you can see, external flash is up there, it's on, it's pointing downwards. And the most important thing is that with this external flash, it's got food on it, that's disgusting. It falls in the rim of the tank, and this sets on the rim of the tank, so it just gets like stuck to it. But with this flash, the light comes out and goes down. It doesn't come out and go up, usually. So you don't want to have the flash on top of the tank like that, because it'll just shoot the flash against the glass, and the flash will just come out towards you. You want the flash so it's angling the light inwards on the tank. So you almost got my flash wet. Come on. They're hungry. Again, I just fed them 2 times today. It's a treat day. But yeah, so go ahead and position the flash so it's just like that. Get a nice triangle of light. The perfectly exposed area is going to be right here, or depending on how you set your camera settings, it could be anywhere else, but I really prefer it being right in the center of the tank. I'll attach those photos for you. Again, very high f-stop. I had my f-stop at 20 on that one, and I had my shutter speed at 1/125th. You don't need it much higher than that for fish. I haven't found any blurry shots with anything under 1/125th. And my ISO is at 1600. If you have an older camera, you're going to want your ISO at about 800 or 400, so you'll need a tiny bit higher aperture. There's a baby crying outside. I like this place, I like living here, but seriously, the people here are just something else. But yeah, that's it for flash photography shooting. If you have any questions, or if you want me to remake a more detailed video, just let me know. If one person wants it, I'll make it, because that's one more person taking some awesome photos that I can look at. There aren't many out there. So yeah, that's it for this. And we'll just go ahead and we'll shoot prime next, which I do not prefer after those shots. That was great. All right. So we're a little bit closer, so you can get a better view of the tank, obviously. So what I was talking about for the flash, you just want to be in here. You see how these fish are coming against the glass right now? You don't want to spook them because they'll come straight to the front when you're using flash. So keep that in mind. See, he just freaked out. We don't want to do that. But yeah, with the prime lens, a little bit better. Not image quality wise, but it's a little bit easier if you're not into photography, but the manual setting is so much easier as far as getting quality images goes. So yeah, so again, make sure your straps are around your neck, that's my problem. So we're going to go into aperture priority mode, which is just the A setting on your camera. You can't see that. I don't know why I'm showing this to you. Let's just turn the aperture down from 20 to 1.8. So that's around 10 times lower. So we're getting, at an ISO of 1600, we're getting about 1/200 of a second for my shutter speed. So let's check what it is over here. Yeah, we're good all over this place. So ISO 1600, f1.8, and 1/200th of a second. You can probably turn up the aperture to get sharper images if you want. But yeah, what you just do is look through the viewfinder and focus and shoot. Just make sure that there's adequate light to focus in on these guys. So we'll try to get this Phoenix right here. See, that's a good shot. That is a very good shot. Yeah, you can get high quality shots with both these methods. I just prefer the flash option. But if you want to shoot fish that hang out in this corner or this corner and you don't want to have to position a flash and wait for them, it's just easier to use this. So I recommend getting both, this lens and a zoom lens and an external flash, and just go to town with your photography. Plus, this can be used outside for amazing shots, low light shots. I don't know, touristy stuff. But yeah, let's try to get a picture of this borlei. He looks pretty nice. And yeah, so I just got his eye pretty well in focus, and I'm blurring out his tail. So I'll attach that shot as well. So we got the Phoenix and borlei. What else do we want? Let's try to get a ruby red to compare the two shots, if he'll cooperate. Yeah, it's hard to focus with this thing. That one's out of focus. That one's in focus. So we'll use that one. Yeah, cool. All right. So we've got our shots. People keep arguing on Facebook. I swear to God, these freaking cichlid groups, they just fight about stupid shit. Like, it's fish, man. It's fish. Like, you don't need to fight and get so mad over fish. That's just me. Let's get this lemon jig. You can shoot a lot faster with this prime lens too. So one thing I do notice is the prime lens captures blues a lot better, because overexposing, the first thing to go is the blues. So I saw a lot more blues in my lemon jig than I did when I was using flash, which is very nice. So yeah, that's it for prime shooting. Point. I could probably get a shot just like this, honestly. See what these turn out like. But yeah, aperture priority, set your f-stop to 1.8 and shoot. And if you want to raise your aperture number to get better shots, just see where your shutter speed is going to be at, and if it's above 1/125th, go for it. So ISO is at 1600 right now. I could honestly just double it and put it to 3200, and we are getting 1/400th right now. Then we could just go ahead and, oh, okay. No, we don't want that. We do not want exposure compensation. So yeah, I'm at f2.5 right now. Let's see if I can shoot this borlei again. Oh, overexposed. Yeah, again, you're going to have some exposure issues if you shoot towards the top where there's more light. He's not burned out by any means, but... And make sure you don't get your reflection in there, because it'll focus on your reflection. And make sure your glass is very clean. My glass isn't clean. Yep, so it is overexposing like a mother right now. Might have to set exposure compensation. So it's just the plus minus, just minus 1.0 right now for exposure. You can fix that in post-processing too, it doesn't really matter. Ruby red, no, we're good. Okay, so we're good. I'll attach those photos, and hopefully this was helpful. So again, a quick rundown. The pros of this prime lens, it's basically point and shoot. You have a low f-stop, so you can blow out backgrounds, you can blur out fins, especially tail fins. You can get some nice depth of, or it gives you a sense of depth of field with your image. So yeah, if you don't want your not rocky background, if you don't want your 3D background or your whatever you have in the back of your tank showing, you can blur it out with this f1.8 lens and it looks great. Another big thing with this, you can take video. So if you're going to be taking video of this low light tank, you're going to need an f1.8 lens. That thing cannot take video. You can't have the flash on all the time when you're taking video. It would just look weird and stupid. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I have another example of video. My last video is an example of this thing's video. Sorry for saying video so many times, it sounds weird. But I think that's it. As far as the flash goes, the flash allows you to have a much higher aperture number, a much smaller aperture, sharper images. You can get the entire aquarium in focus, nice and sharp. But of course you can't flash the entire aquarium, so it doesn't really work well. But you can get, if you get every fish in focus, it looks great for this focus, for this focal area where the flash gets. But yeah, that should be it. I'll attach some photos, the stuff that I took just now. And if you have any questions, let me know. And again, check out the African Cichlid Hub's tutorial on how to shoot fish. It's a little bit more basic, but he does go over the basics of camera usage a little bit better than I do. That's how I take photos. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I got a lot of free time right now, and I like helping people out. So yeah, thanks for watching my channel, and check out these photos.